Hi there, dear listener. Tonight, let your breathing become slow and deep as your muscles gently relax against your pillow. It's time for us to travel together through time. To the thick mists of prehistoric England, where the wind carries ancient secrets and the stones guard memories from 5,000 years ago. Allow yourself to sink even deeper into the comfort of your bed as we prepare for this extraordinary journey. If this moment is bringing peace to your day, consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a gentle like, and sharing in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is there. It'll be a pleasure to know that our voices meet across time and space, connecting hearts around the world. Close your eyes now, let the comforting darkness wrap around them like a soft blanket. Take a deep breath once more, and imagine that you're standing on the vast Salisbury Plains, 5,000 years ago, when the world was young and full of mysteries yet to be unraveled. You find yourself on a cold spring morning, around the year 3000 BC. The dew covers the wild grass like tiny crystals, and your breath forms small clouds in the chilly morning air. The sky still holds the last stars, pale against the deep blue that announces the sun's arrival. The plains stretch endlessly around you, rolling and covered with dense vegetation that your descendants will never know. Giant oak trees rise solitary, their canopies intertwined with the sky, while herds of aurochs, the wild ancestors of cattle, graze peacefully in the distance. The silence is profound, broken only by the morning songs of birds that still exist in this untouched land. You're not alone in these lands. Nearby, smoke rises slowly from small settlements, little groups of circular huts made of wood, clay, and thatch, where Neolithic families awaken to another day of hard work and community life. These people abandoned nomadic life generations ago, settling as farmers who know intimately the cycles of earth and sky. You smell the scent of burning wood, mixed with the humid aroma of freshly cultivated earth. There's something comforting about these simple smells. Speaking of home, continuity, deep roots planted in the fertile soil of this mysterious island. Quirky tidbit. Some archaeologists believe that the Neolithic peoples of this region already used a primitive form of perfume, burning aromatic herbs in their huts during morning rituals. In the distance, a figure approaches along the path that winds between the hills. He's a tall man with long dark hair braided with small bones and colored stones. His clothes are made of tanned hides and coarse fabrics dyed with local plants. His eyes, deep and observant, carry the weight of ancestral knowledge passed down through generations of storytellers. This is Branwen, one of the primitive druids of this land. Although that word doesn't exist yet, his role is already defined in society. He is astronomer, priest, healer, and guardian of tribal wisdom. His steps are silent on the damp grass, and when he stops beside you, you feel a presence that transcends the merely human. The stones are calling, he murmurs, his deep voice echoing like wind through oak trees. They have traveled far, crossed mountains and rivers, carrying within them the power of the sacred lands of the West. You follow his gaze to a gentle rise in the plain, where dozens of men have been working since before sunrise. These are the first stages of building something that still has no name, but which will be known by future centuries as Stonehenge. Joke number 1. If you thought building a deck in your backyard was complicated, imagine convincing your tribe to drag 50-ton stones for hundreds of miles without even having invented the wheel yet. The sun finally appears on the horizon, painting the sky gold and pink. Branwen raises his arms to the rising star, murmuring words in an ancient language that resonates like music in your ears. It's a prayer, an acknowledgement, a promise made to the heavens that this work will be worthy of the gods and ancestors. The hours pass in a smooth succession of hypnotic activities. You accompany Branwen to the construction site, where work continues at a steady, meditative pace. The men move like dancers in an ancestral choreography, each gesture loaded with purpose and reverence. At the center of what will be the sacred circle, the blue stones rest blocks of volcanic dolerite that traveled more than 200 kilometers from the Preseli Hills in Wales. Under the golden morning light, they seem to pulse with their own energy, their bluish color contrasting dramatically with the vibrant green of the surrounding grass. You approach one of these extraordinary stones and, touching it, feel a subtle vibration under your palms, not just physical, but something deeper, as if the rock held memories of the distant mountains it came from. Branwen observes your reaction with a knowing smile. They carry the spirit of the sacred mountains, he explains, caressing the smooth surface of the stone. Our ancestors knew that certain rocks possess special qualities, not just for building, but for healing, for connecting, for channeling the energies that flow between earth and sky. The journey of these stones was an epic in itself. For months, perhaps years, groups of men and women worked together to extract them from Welsh quarries, using stone and wood tools to separate each block from the rock formations. The transport required cooperation from different tribes, uniting communities that might be rivals at other times. You close your eyes and try to imagine this epic journey. Dozens of people pulling ropes made of plant fibers, the stones mounted on wooden sleds that slide slowly over logs arranged like primitive rails, the sound of ropes straining, grunts of effort, rhythmic chants that synchronize collective work. Quirky tidbit: archaeological evidence suggests that some stretches of the Bluestone's journey were made by water, taking advantage of rivers and estuaries in impressive logistics for the time. During breaks from heavy work, they took advantage of ancient waterways. You can visualize the stones being carefully loaded onto sturdy rafts, floating majestically along rivers that cut through the prehistoric landscape. The calm waters reflected the blue sky and white clouds, while men rowed in constant rhythm, their songs echoing over the liquid surface. The choice of these specific stones wasn't accidental. Branwen explains that primitive druids recognized special properties in volcanic rocks, their ability to resonate when struck, creating musical sounds that reverberated across the plain like stone bells. During nighttime ceremonies, the entire circle vibrated in a rocky symphony that could be heard for miles. You watch a group of craftsmen working to erect one of the blue stones. They use thick braided ropes and oak wood levers, calculated and precise movements developed through generations of experience in megalithic construction. Each stone must be positioned with astronomical accuracy, aligned with specific points on the horizon where important celestial bodies rise and set. The sun continues its journey across the sky, and you feel enveloped by the contemplative atmosphere of the work. There's no hurry here. This construction will take decades, perhaps centuries to complete. It's a project that transcends individual lives, uniting generations in a common task that honors both ancestors and descendants, yet to be born. The afternoon approaches with golden light that bathes the entire plain in an almost magical atmosphere. Branwen invites you for a walk to a nearby elevation, from where it's possible to observe the entire work in progress. From there, Stonehenge seems even more impressive, a perfect circle of intentions, slowly materializing through coordinated human effort. "Look," murmurs the druid, pointing to different points on the horizon. On the summer solstice, the sun will rise exactly there, framed by the altar stone. On the winter solstice, it will set precisely there, aligned with those two stones will still erect. The autumn full moon will appear between those megaliths, and the brightest stars will follow specific paths that our stones will mark forever. you begin to understand that Stonehenge isn't just a construction, it's a gigantic astronomical instrument. A stone calendar that will allow future peoples to track celestial cycles with admirable precision. Each stone was positioned after careful observations that took years to complete. The primitive druids of this era are accomplished astronomers. They memorize the movement of hundreds of stars, know the moon's cycles better than any modern person, and can predict eclipses with impressive accuracy. All this knowledge will be incorporated into Stonehenge's permanent structure, transforming ephemeral wisdom into eternal stone. Joke number 2. The Druids were so good at astronomy that they probably could have predicted that, 5,000 years later, tourists would be taking selfies with their sacred stones. Branwen points to a group of young apprentices being instructed by more experienced Druids. They learn not just to observe the sky, but to interpret the spiritual meaning of celestial movements. For them, astronomy and religion are inseparable. The cosmos is alive, conscious, and each star has its own personality and purpose. Knowledge of the stars doesn't just serve to mark time, explains the wise Druid. It connects us to the great mystery of existence. When we know where the heavenly bodies will be at any future moment, we participate in the divine mind that governs all things. During the night, these primitive scholars gather at the center of the circle under construction. Using simple but effective instruments, measuring rods, calibrated ropes, stone markers, they make precise observations of celestial movements. Their discoveries are memorized in poems and songs that preserve complex information through oral tradition. You observe one of these nighttime study sessions. The Druids position themselves at specific points in the circle, each responsible for observing a different region of the sky. They murmur constantly, mentally recording each star's position in relation to terrestrial landmarks. It's work of infinite patience, repeated night after night, year after year. The crescent moon appears over the eastern horizon, its silver light creating dramatic shadows among the already erected stones. The Druids point to it, discussing in low voices the implications of its current position for next week's rituals. Everything in the cosmos has meaning. Everything can be interpreted by initiates in celestial mysteries. One of the younger Druids approaches you, carrying a ceramic bowl filled with pure water. "Look," he whispers, pointing to the liquid surface. The moon and some bright stars reflect in the water like floating diamonds, creating a portable celestial map that can be studied without straining the neck. The night advances in a sequence of hypnotic moments, each more engaging than the last. The bonfires light one by one around the sacred circle, their dancing flames creating an amphitheater of golden light against the darkness of the plains. The sound of human voices mixes with the crackling of wood and the soft whisper of wind among the stones. This is a special night, the arrival of another blue stone from the Welsh mountains. For weeks, messengers have brought news of its progress through the landscape, and now it finally arrives at its sacred destination. You can hear in the distance the chants of the men escorting it, deep voices echoing across the plain like the call of ancient gods. Branwen leads you to the edge of the circle, where a crowd gathers silently. Men, women, and children from various settlements have come to witness this historic moment. Their faces, illuminated by firelight, show a mixture of reverence, curiosity, and deep connection to something greater than their individual lives. Each stone that arrives is like an ancestor returning home, explains the Druid in a low voice. They carry with them the memories of the sacred mountains, the power of the places where they were born, the blessing of the waters they crossed. When they are erected here, they create a bridge between different parts of this island, uniting tribes and territories in a greater harmony. The procession finally appears on the horizon, a sinuous line of torches, moving slowly through the darkness. At the front come the visiting druids, their mantles decorated with astronomical symbols that shine in the firelight. Behind them, dozens of men and women pull ropes attached to the giant sled on which the sacred stone rests. You feel a deep emotion seeing this extraordinary scene. The stone, even in darkness, seems to radiate a majestic presence. It's wrapped in fine fabrics and decorated with garlands of wildflowers and holly branches. It's treated not as simple construction material, but as a living being, a mountain spirit that accepts to dwell in this sacred plane. Quirky tidbit: archaeologists have discovered evidence that some Stonehenge stones were fed with offerings of honey, primitive beer, and grains during erection rituals. The procession stops at the center of the circle, and immediately a complex ceremony begins. Welsh and local druids greet each other with ritual gestures, exchanging small symbolic objects that represent the union of their traditions. Women approach carrying clay bowls filled with aromatic liquids, herb infusions, fermented honey, oils extracted from sacred plants. Branwen joins the group of priests surrounding the newly arrived stone. They begin a low chant, their voices harmonizing in a melody that seems to emerge from the earth itself. The words are in a language even older than what you heard during the day, syllables that sound like wind through leaves, like water running over rocks, like the distant call of migrating birds. You watch, fascinated, as each druid approaches the stone and places hands on its surface. Their faces transform in an expression of deep concentration, as if they were listening to something only they can perceive. One by one, they nod and step away, indicating that the stone is ready to be erected in its final position. The erection process begins slowly, almost meditatively. Ropes are positioned, levers prepared, and groups of men organize at strategic points around the stone. The work is carefully synchronized through chants that mark the rhythm 1, 2, 3 lift, 1, 2, 3 lift. The stone rises gradually, like a giant creature awakening from a millennial sleep. Dawn comes gently, painting the sky with pastel tones of pink and gold. The blue stone was successfully erected during the night, and now stands majestically against the horizon like a silent sentinel of the plains. The workers rest around it, their tired but satisfied faces from work well executed. You approach the new megalith and place your hand on its cold surface. The stone seems to vibrate subtly under your touch, as if it still held the energy from the long work of erection. There's something deeply moving in the realization that human hands without machines, without modern technology, achieved this extraordinary feat through cooperation, patience, and determination. Branwen materializes beside you, as he has the habit of doing silently. Do you feel it? He asks quietly. The stone still resonates with the energy of all who touched it, those who extracted it from the mountain, those who transported it along the rivers, those who erected it here. Each Stonehenge is not just a monument, but a crystallized memory of human work and harmony. Around the circle, other groups continue their work. Some dig the pits where the next stones will be planted, others prepare tools and ropes for future erections. There are also specialized craftsmen working on smaller stones, creating precise joints that will allow structures to remain stable for millennia. You observe a master builder directing work in one of the pits. He uses a calibrated measuring rod to check depth and a weighted string to ensure the sides are perfectly vertical. His gestures are economical and precise, the result of decades of experience in megalithic projects throughout the region. Joke number 3. If unions existed in prehistory, the Stonehenge builders definitely would have negotiated flexible hours and extra breaks to contemplate the stars. The construction techniques used here represent the pinnacle of Neolithic engineering. Generations of experimentation and refinement resulted in methods that allow moving and positioning enormous stones with precision that would impress modern engineers, all achieved through human strength, social cooperation, and deep understanding of basic physics. You see a group of young apprentices watching carefully as more experienced masters demonstrate tying techniques. The ropes are braided from specially prepared plant fibers, some soaked in resins to increase resistance, others treated with oils that prevent rotting. Each knot has a specific function. Each loop is tested before application. The social organization necessary for a project of this magnitude is impressive. Different tribes contribute specific specialties. Some provide the best rope makers. Others have expertise in working stone. Still others are specialists in logistics and transport. The result is a cooperation network that unites communities across hundreds of miles. During a break from heavy work, you sit on a nearby elevation and observe the frantic but organized activity happening in the circle. There's something hypnotically beautiful in the coordination of all these individual efforts toward a common goal. Each person has a function. Each gesture has purpose. Each moment contributes to something that transcends any individual life. Branwen joins you in this contemplation. This work, he says, is not just about erecting stones. It's about erecting a community. Each man and woman who contributes becomes part of something greater, part of a legacy that will last longer than their own existences. This is how humans touch eternity through works that outlast their makers. The sun reaches its zenith on a clear and luminous afternoon, creating dramatic shadows between the already erected stones. It's time for one of the most significant moments in this long construction journey. The preparation of the altar stone, the spiritual heart of the entire Stonehenge complex. This special stone came from even farther than the blue ones, from the mountains of Scotland. A journey of more than 400 kilometers through unknown territories. You approach this extraordinary stone, which rests temporarily near the center of the circle. It's different from all the others, not just because of its distant origin, but because of its unique composition. When sunlight hits it at certain angles, it seems to glow with an internal luminosity, as if it contains star fragments captured in rock. Branwen touches the stone's surface with almost religious reverence. "This is the most sacred of all," he murmurs. "It came from the lands of our most ancient ancestors, carrying with it the memories of when the world was young." When positioned at the center of the circle, it will become the point where all energies converge, earth, sky, past and future, united in perfect harmony. The journey of this stone, to Salisbury, was an epic even more impressive than that of the blue stones. Scottish tribes cooperated in a coordinated effort that must have taken years of planning. The logistics involved is almost impossible to imagine. How to convince hundreds of people from different groups to dedicate so much time and energy to transport a stone to distant lands. You close your eyes and try to visualize this epic journey. The stone being extracted from Scottish rock formations by groups of specialists, then carried on special sleds through valleys and mountains. Rivers being used whenever possible, with the stone traveling majestically on rafts, built specifically to support its colossal weight. Quirky tidbit: recent analysis suggests that the altar stone may have special acoustic properties, amplifying low-frequency sounds similar to a giant resonance box. During the months of transport, the stone became a mobile pilgrimage. Communities along the route received it as a sacred visitor, performing blessing ceremonies and offering hospitality to its transporters. Children born during this journey were considered specially blessed, marked by the spirit of the traveling stone. Now, Preparing to be finally positioned, the altar stone undergoes purification rituals lasting 3 days. You observe druids from different regions taking turns in continuous vigils, keeping fires lit around the stone, and burning incense made from herbs collected in sacred places throughout Britain. The community women bring pure water from special springs, carefully washing every inch of the stone's surface. It's meditative work, performed in reverent silence while the sun slowly moves across the sky. You can feel the intense concentration of all participants, as if each drop of water applied were a materialized prayer. A group of primitive musicians position themselves around the stone, playing instruments made of bones, wood, and animal skins. The music they produce doesn't follow familiar patterns. They are sounds that seem to emerge from the earth itself, melodies that echo the natural rhythms of wind, rain, the human heartbeat. The altar stone resonates with these vibrations, creating supernatural harmonies that seem to come from another dimension. You feel a subtle transformation happening around you. The air seems denser, charged with an invisible electricity that makes the hairs on your arms stand up. The other stones in the circle seem to respond to the central stone's presence, as if an ancestral energy network were being gradually activated. The afternoon gives way to early evening, and the first stars begin to twinkle timidly in the darkening sky. It's the perfect moment to understand one of Stonehenge's most impressive functions: its role as an astronomical calendar of extraordinary precision, capable of predicting celestial events centuries in advance. Branwen guides you to a specific position within the circle, where several stones align in a way that seems casual, but which you now understand to be absolutely intentional. From here, explains the druid, you can observe the exact points where the sun rises and sets at the most important moments of the year, the solstices and equinoxes that mark the seasons, and guide our agricultural work. You follow his gaze to the distant horizon, where a solitary stone, the famous heel stone, precisely marks the point where the sun will appear on the summer solstice. For thousands of years, this stone will serve as a permanent temporal landmark, allowing future generations to calculate with precision the exact moment of the longest day of the year. The astronomical complexity incorporated into Stonehenge is impressive. The builders not only observed the sun's movements, but also much more complex lunar cycles, which involve periods of almost 19 years to repeat completely. Different groups of stones mark different aspects of these cycles, creating a megalithic astronomical computer. Joke number 4. The Druids created the first calendar system that actually worked, and didn't need software updates every 2 months. You observe a group of young Druids being instructed in reading this stone calendar. They learn that specific groups of stones mark 30-day months, while others mark weeks, and special stones, the famous station stones, are used to calculate even leap years. It's a system of sophistication that wouldn't be equaled in Europe for another 1,000 years. The integration between practical astronomy and spirituality is total. For these ancient peoples, predicting eclipses isn't just a matter of scientific curiosity, but of spiritual survival. Eclipses are moments when the cosmos reveals its deepest mysteries, and being prepared for them is essential to maintaining harmony between the human world and divine forces. During the night, you participate in an astronomical observation session led by the most experienced Druids. Using Stonehenge itself as an instrument, they demonstrate how different alignments reveal precise information about the position of specific stars, the timing of ocean tides, and even the best moments to plant different crops. The altar stone, now positioned at the center of the complex, serves as a reference point for all these observations. From its central position, an observer can use the other stones as a primitive telescopic sight, framing celestial objects with precision that surprises even modern astronomers. You lie down on the cold grass near the center of the circle, looking directly at the starry sky. The constellations shine with a clarity impossible in our modern world polluted by artificial light. The Milky Way stretches like a luminous cosmic road, and you understand why the ancients saw the sky as familiar geography, populated by gods, heroes, and mythical creatures. Brantwyn joins you in this celestial contemplation. Each star, he murmurs, is an ancestor who found their way home. Each planet is a messenger of the gods. And this circle of stones is our way of participating in that cosmic dance, of becoming part of the great universal calendar that governs all living things. A gentle breeze moves the grass around you as the full moon rises majestically over Stonehenge, bathing the stones in silver light that transforms the entire complex into a natural cathedral of supernatural beauty. This is one of the most sacred nights in the Druidic calendar, the moment when lunar energies reach their peak and the most important rituals can be performed. You feel a subtle change in the atmosphere. The air seems denser, charged with an invisible electricity that makes your skin tingle lightly. The druids move silently among the stones, preparing the sacred space for ceremonies that have been performed here for countless generations. Brandwyn appears at your side carrying a polished bronze bowl, its surface reflecting the moonlight like a liquid mirror. Tonight, he whispers, the moon is exactly aligned with the eastern stones. It's the moment when we can communicate most clearly with the spirits of ancestors and receive visions of the future. Women from different tribes begin arriving at the circle, their long robes whispering against the damp grass. They carry delicate offerings, wildflowers braided into garlands, small pots of golden honey, toasted barley grains that exhale a sweet, earthy aroma. Each offering is carefully placed in natural niches between the stones. The ceremony begins with a circle of women positioning themselves around the altar stone. Their voices rise in an ancient melody, words that flow like running water, rising and falling in patterns that imitate lunar cycles. The sound echoes among the stones, amplified and transformed by the natural acoustics of the megalithic circle. Quirky tidbit: modern acoustic research has revealed that Stonehenge was designed to function as a kind of stone amphitheater, where sounds produced inside are amplified, but cannot be heard clearly from outside. You watch, mesmerized, as the male druids join the female chorus. Their deeper voices create a harmonic foundation over which the female melodies dance like flames in the wind. It's music that seems to emerge from the earth itself, connecting participants not just to each other, but to the entire cosmos. During the ceremony's peak, something extraordinary happens. The moon, positioned exactly in the center of the circle, when viewed from a certain point, seems to pulse with more intense light. The surrounding stones respond to this lunar energy, their surfaces glowing subtly, as if they contained internal crystals activated by celestial radiation. Branwen invites you to approach the altar stone, where a small bowl of pure water has been placed. Look in the water, he instructs gently. During full moons correctly aligned, the liquid surface becomes a portal. You can see beyond the present, catching glimpses of what was and what will be. You lean over the bowl, its surface perfectly mirroring the full moon above. For a moment, you feel as if you're looking through a window in time. Vague images float in the water, Stonehenge itself in different eras, crowds of pilgrims from future centuries, even distant glimpses of modern archaeologists carefully excavating around the stones. The women continue their chant, but now individual voices begin to stand out. A young druidess enters a gentle trance state, her words becoming prophetic, describing visions of future harvests, of distant tribes that will come on pilgrimage, of changes that will transform this land over millennia. The ceremony's energy reaches a crescendo when all participants join in a final chant. The stones seem to vibrate in resonance with human voices, creating supernatural harmonies that echo across the plain like the call of ancestral gods. It's a moment of total connection between humans and cosmos, between present and eternity, between the known and mysterious. Dawn comes silent and gentle, painting the eastern sky with delicate tones of pink and gold. The moon has departed, but its influence still resonates in the air, charged with spiritual energy from last night. You awaken from restorative sleep near the sacred stones, feeling renewed and connected to something much greater than your individual existence. Brandwin stands near the heelstone, silhouetted against the brightening sky, his arms raised in a morning salutation to the rising sun. It's a moment of sacred transition from lunar to solar influence, from nighttime contemplation to daytime work, from spiritual mysteries to practical construction tasks. Each dawn, he explains when you approach, is a new opportunity to align our actions with cosmic energies. The work of building Stonehenge isn't just physical, it's active meditation, a form of prayer that manifests through coordinated human effort. The builders begin arriving gradually, emerging from small camps scattered across the plain. They move with the tranquility of those who have found their purpose in life, carrying simple but effective tools, oak levers, braided ropes, polished stone hammers, measuring instruments calibrated with astronomical precision. You join a group preparing the site to erect another of the great sarsen stones. These local stones, extracted from nearby quarries, are even larger than the blue ones from Wales. Some weigh more than 25 tons and rise like stone towers against the sky. The coordination necessary to move these gigantic stones is impressive. Groups of 50 men or more work in perfect synchronization, their movements guided by rhythmic chants that ensure everyone pulls the ropes at exactly the same moment. It's a collective dance of strength and precision, beauty and functionality united in a unique expression of human capability. Joke number 5. If ancient Stonehenge builders had LinkedIn, their specialties would include megalith logistics, heavy stone transport, and prehistoric teamwork. During a break from heavy work, you talk with some of the builders. You discover that many traveled hundreds of miles to participate in this project, leaving their families and communities for months or even years. For them, working on Stonehenge's construction is a spiritual honor, an opportunity to contribute to something that transcends their individual lives. A master builder, a man with graying hair and muscles, developed by decades of working with stone, explains the techniques that allow erecting megaliths with millimetric precision. Each stone, he says, has its own personality. You must feel its weight, understand its balance, respect it as a partner in work, not dominate it like an inert object. The techniques developed here represent thousands of years of accumulated experience, knowledge passed from master to apprentice through generations, refined and perfected until achieving efficiency that allows accomplishing the impossible with simple tools. It's technology in its purest sense, knowledge applied with wisdom to solve practical problems. You observe the meticulous preparation of foundations where stones will be planted. Each pit is excavated with mathematical precision, aligned not just with astronomical points, but also with the terrain's geological characteristics. The builders know exactly where to find solid rock that will support the megalith's weight for millennia. The sound of tools working stone creates a primitive industrial symphony, the metallic ting of bronze chisels against hard rocks, the rhythmic dragging of ropes under tension, human voices coordinating collective efforts. It's work music, melody of human creation, in harmony with natural forces. The sun reaches its highest point on a clear afternoon, creating short, precise shadows between Stonehenge's stones. It's a perfect moment to understand how this extraordinary monument functions as a perpetual calendar, recording not just days and months, but much longer cycles that connect generations through millennia. Branwen leads you through the inner circle, stopping at specific points where different alignments reveal complex astronomical information. See, he says, pointing through an opening between two giant stones. From this point, on the winter solstice, you'll see the sun set exactly between those distant stones. But that's just the beginning. The Druid explains that Stonehenge records cycles that repeat every 18.6 years, the period necessary for the moon to complete all its possible movements in relation to Earth. Different groups of stones mark different aspects of this complex lunar cycle, allowing eclipse prediction with impressive precision. For our people, continues Branwen, understanding these long cycles is essential to maintaining harmony with cosmic forces. We know that everything in nature follows patterns, seasons, tides, animal movements, plant growth. Stonehenge helps us see the larger patterns, the cycles that connect our grandparents to our grandchildren. You sit on the soft grass near the circle's center, letting this ancestral wisdom settle gradually in your understanding. There's something deeply comforting in the idea that the same celestial cycles that guided these ancient people continue operating today, connecting all human generations in cosmic continuity. Quirky tidbit: modern calculations have confirmed that Stonehenge can predict solar and lunar eclipses with a margin of error of only a few days, even after millennia of use. A group of children approaches, guided by an elderly druidess who is teaching the fundamentals of sacred astronomy. They learn through play, using small stones to represent stars and branches to draw constellations in the earth. It's education through direct experience, knowledge transmitted through bodily involvement with abstract concepts. You observe one of these improvised lessons with fascination. The druidess uses Stonehenge's own stones as visual aids, showing how different alignments reveal information about time. The children ask intelligent questions, demonstrating intuitive understanding of natural rhythms that modern people often lose. During the afternoon, you participate in a time-marking ceremony. It's a simple but profound ritual as the sun moves across the sky. Its shadow is projected through openings between stones, creating a giant sundial that marks not just hours, but also seasons and years. The altar stone, at the center of the complex, serves as the main gnomon of this cosmic clock. Its position was calculated with mathematical precision, so its shadow indicates specific moments during different times of year. It's an analog stone computer, functioning through simple geometric principles but applied with genius. Branwen explains that different future societies will interpret Stonehenge in different ways, but the basic function will remain the same. He says, it's a tool for connecting human experience to the cosmos's greater rhythms. As long as people look at the sky and wonder about their place in the universe, this circle of stones will have meaning. As afternoon advances toward early evening, you feel growing understanding that Stonehenge represents something much deeper than astronomical curiosity. It's a material expression of the human need to find order in chaos, meaning in confusion, connection in apparent separation. The stones are physical symbols of eternal spiritual truths. Night approaches with melancholic gentleness, bringing with it the feeling that this long journey through Stonehenge's mystery is coming to an end. Stars begin to appear one by one, twinkling timidly in the darkening sky, like distant ancestors waving across time and space. You're sitting near the altar stone, at the heart of the sacred circle, observing the day's last activities. Builders organize their tools, druids complete evening rituals, and entire families gather to share simple meals around bonfires that dot the plain like terrestrial stars. Branwen approaches silently, carrying a steaming clay bowl filled with an aromatic drink, a mixture of herbs, honey, and fermented grains that exhales comforting vapors. For the journey back, he says with a gentle smile, offering the drink. Sometimes the path back to the present is harder than the trip to the past. You drink together in contemplative silence, watching the majestic stones rising like silent sentinels against the starry sky. There's something eternally moving in realizing that this extraordinary monument was created by people who, despite living 5,000 years ago, shared the same basic human needs, the desire to understand, to connect, to leave something meaningful for future generations. You have seen, murmurs the druid, how these stones are more than simple rocks. They are crystallized memories of epic journeys through wild landscapes, of collective work that united distant tribes, of astronomical knowledge transmitted through generations, of rituals that connected common people to greater cosmic mysteries. You think of the images you witnessed, blue stones traveling hundreds of miles from Welsh mountains, the altar stone making its even more epic journey from Scotland, builders working in perfect harmony to erect impossible megaliths, druids reading the skies like sacred books. Quirky tidbit: each Stonehenge stone carries within it microscopic quartz crystals that, according to some theories, may have piezoelectric properties, that is, they generate small electrical currents when subjected to pressure, potentially explaining the energetic sensations many people report when touching the stones. The night wind whispers softly among the stones, creating subtle harmonies that sound almost like ancestral voices murmuring ancient secrets. It's easy to imagine how, over millennia, countless people came to this place, seeking spiritual connection, healing, wisdom, or simply the transcendent experience of being in the presence of something greater than their individual lives. The true mystery of Stonehenge, says Branwen, is not how it was built, or what it originally served. The true mystery is how it will continue inspiring people, long after our languages are forgotten, our names lost, our societies transformed into legends. You understand that you're witnessing not just the construction of a monument, but the birth of an archetypal symbol that will transcend cultures and eras. Stonehenge will become many things to many people: astronomical calendar, pagan temple, resistance symbol, pilgrimage focus, archaeological mystery, artistic inspiration, spiritual power site. The crescent moon appears over the eastern horizon, its silver light bathing the stones in ethereal luminosity. It's the moment of farewell, the signal that your journey through Neolithic time is complete. You rise slowly, feeling a mixture of gratitude for the experience and melancholy for leaving this extraordinary world. Branwen accompanies you to the edge of the sacred circle. Remember, he says gently, that time is not a straight line, but a circle, like this circle of stones. Everything that was, is, and will be exists, simultaneously in the eternal present. You can always return here, because here is where the human touches the infinite. You touch one last time the cold, smooth surface of one of the blue stones, feeling under your palms the subtle vibration of 5 millennia of human history. Then, gradually, the image begins to dissolve, the bonfires fade, the voices become distant echoes, and the stones themselves seem to vanish like morning mist, dispersed by the first ray of sun. You awaken gently, like one emerging from a deep and comforting dream, still feeling at your fingertips the rough texture of ancestral stones. For a moment, you remain motionless, allowing the journey's sensations to settle gradually in your memory like precious sediment at the bottom of a tranquil lake. The modern world returns slowly, the distant hum of traffic, the soft glow of artificial lights filtering through curtains, the familiar comfort of your pillow and blankets. But something fundamental changed during this time travel. You now carry within yourself vivid memories of a lost world, populated by people whose names were forgotten, but whose legacy continues whispering through millennia. Brandwin seems still present, a comforting presence that remains even when his visual image dissolves. His final words echo softly. Time is a circle, not a line. You can always return. And you understand that this wasn't just an imaginary experience, but a type of awakened ancestral memory, a genuine connection to the deep roots of human experience. Images continue flowing through your consciousness like a gentle river of memories. Blue stones on their epic journey from Welsh mountains, carried by hundreds of dedicated hands through wild landscapes that no longer exist. The altar stone arriving from distant Scottish lands, each mile of its journey representing cooperation between tribes that spoke different languages, but shared a common vision of something sacred being created. You remember the sensation of thick ropes under your palms, the collective weight of dozens of people working in perfect harmony to erect impossible megaliths. The sound of chants that synchronized work, transforming physical effort into a form of active meditation, a prayer materialized through coordination of bodies and intentions. Quirky tidbit. Even today, when wind blows through Stonehenge under certain atmospheric conditions, visitors report hearing sounds that resemble distant chants, a phenomenon that can be explained by the unique acoustic properties of the megalithic structure. The memory of nighttime rituals remains particularly vivid. Bonfires dancing among stones, creating dramatic shadows that transformed the entire complex into a natural cathedral. Female voices rising in ancient melodies, harmonizing with deeper male voices in a symphony that seemed to emerge from the earth itself, connecting participants not just to each other, but to the entire cosmos. You still taste the aromatic drink Branwen offered, fermented honey mixed with herbs that grew wild in Neolithic plains. There's something symbolically perfect in this final gesture of hospitality, a gentle bridge between the ancestral world and present, a reminder that certain human courtesies transcend eras and cultures. The crescent moon you witnessed in that ancient world is now shining through your modern window, the same moon that illuminated Stonehenge's primitive builders. This cosmic continuity is comforting. The same celestial cycles that guided those ancient peoples continue operating, connecting all human generations in an eternal dance between earth and sky. Branwen's astronomical lessons resonate with crystalline clarity, understanding that Stonehenge functions as a perpetual calendar, recording not just days and seasons, but much longer cycles that connect generations through millennia. Each stone alignment reveals information about cosmic timing, transforming ephemeral knowledge into permanent wisdom carved in rock. You think of the anonymous builders who dedicated their entire lives to this project that transcended any individual existence. Men and women who would never see the work completed, but who worked with absolute faith that they were contributing to something eternal. There's a deeply moving humility in this dedication to something greater than personal ego. Your breathing becomes even slower and deeper as you allow yourself to sink completely into the comfort of your modern bed, carrying within yourself the precious memories of this journey through Neolithic time. Your body relaxes completely, each muscle releasing the day's tensions. while your mind calms in profound serenity that seems to echo the ancestral peace of Salisbury Plains. Images continue flowing smoothly, no longer as active experiences, but as cherished memories that settle gradually in consciousness's deepest layers. The collective work of primitive builders, their synchronized movements transforming physical effort into a form of active meditation. Nighttime astronomical sessions, where experienced druids transmitted celestial knowledge through generations of patient observation. You remember the extraordinary sensation of touching the altar stone at the center of the sacred circle, that subtle vibration that seemed to connect you not just to the Scottish mountains where the stone came from, but to all hands that touched it over 5 millennia. Each person who approached this monument with reverence, spiritual quest, scientific curiosity, or simple admiration for human capacity to create permanent beauty. The gradual understanding that Stonehenge represents much more than archaeological curiosity settles quietly in your mind. It's an archetypal symbol of fundamental human need to find order in chaos, meaning in confusion, connection in apparent separation. The stones are physical manifestations of spiritual truths that transcend specific cultures and eras. Joke number 6. If Neolithic builders could see Stonehenge today, surrounded by protective ropes and tourist crowds, they'd probably say, well, at least the stones are still in the right place for the solstice. The night wind whispering outside your window seems to carry echoes of that ancestral wind that blew among stones 5,000 years ago. It's the same air, the same terrestrial atmosphere that connects all moments of human history in invisible but real continuity. Breathing becomes a meditation on this continuity. The oxygen entering your lungs has been breathed by countless generations before you. Branwen's lessons about eternal cycles resonate with timeless wisdom, understanding that everything in nature follows patterns, seasons, tides, planetary movements, plant growth, rhythms of the human body itself. Stonehenge as a tool to see larger patterns, cycles that connect grandparents to grandchildren through temporal dimensions that transcend individual lives. You feel deep gratitude for the opportunity to have witnessed, even through imagination, this lost world of tribal cooperation, astronomical wisdom, and spiritual dedication. A world where physical work was a form of prayer, where observing stars was a sacred act, where building something permanent was a way to touch eternity through temporal actions. The awareness that you're part of this same human continuity brings profound peace. The same basic needs that motivated those primitive builders, the desire to understand, to connect, to create meaning, to leave something valuable for future generations, continue operating in you and all people around the world at this moment. Stonehenge's stones continue standing, silent but eloquent, witnessing the passing of entire civilizations. They saw the Bronze Age replace the Neolithic, Celts arrive at the British Isles, Romans build roads that passed near the sacred circle, Anglo-Saxons establish new kingdoms, Normans transform England's social landscape. Night advances in gentle waves of tranquility, each breath taking you deeper into a state of total relaxation. Stonehenge images continue dancing gently through your consciousness, now focusing on the most magical moments, solstices and equinoxes, when the monument reveals its true function as a cosmic calendar of extraordinary precision. You transport yourself again to that golden summer solstice dawn, 5,000 years ago. The crowd gathered before sunrise, people from distant tribes who traveled for weeks to witness this sacred moment when the rising sun aligns perfectly with the heelstone, sending a golden ray directly to the circle's heart. Reverent silence broken only by wind, whispering in grass, and distant bird songs. Then, At the exact moment predicted by Druidic astronomical calculations, the first ray of sun appears on the horizon, perfectly framed by the opening between giant stones. It's a moment of total connection between human and cosmic, between terrestrial engineering and celestial rhythms. The crowd sighs collectively, a sound mixing admiration, reverence, and profound spiritual satisfaction. This moment justifies years of hard work, generations of astronomical observations, collective effort by hundreds of people dedicated to creating something permanent and meaningful. It's tangible proof that human knowledge can capture and crystallize the eternal rhythms of the cosmos. Quirky tidbit: modern calculations have revealed that Stonehenge's solstitial alignment was even more precise in the past, due to Earth's slow movement, called precession. The Sun rose a few degrees closer to perfect alignment 5,000 years ago. During following months, you follow gradual changes in sun positions throughout the year. Each day, the sunrise point moves slightly along the horizon, tracing an invisible arc perfectly recorded by different stone alignments. It's a cosmic precision clock, functioning through simple geometric principles, but applied with ancestral genius. Equinoxes bring their own magical moments, days when sun rises exactly in the east and sets exactly in the west, marking moments of perfect balance between light and darkness. During these special dates, different stone groups create unique alignments, revealing more subtle aspects of astronomical knowledge incorporated in the megalithic structure. Winter solstice offers perhaps the most profoundly spiritual experience. The shortest day of the year, when darkness seems to be defeating light, but when Stonehenge alignments reveal this is just a transition moment. This special day's sunset, framed by stones in perfect geometry, marks the exact moment when days begin lengthening again, when light starts its triumphant return. You imagine yourself present at this winter solstice celebration, surrounded by bonfires creating islands of golden light against the frozen plains' darkness. Druids conduct rituals honoring both necessary darkness and returning light, recognizing that both are essential parts of the eternal cycle governing all life on Earth. Children present at these ceremonies learn through direct experience that cosmic rhythms are reliable, predictable, eternal. They grow knowing that no matter how dark night might seem, sun always returns. This is one of the most fundamental lessons Stonehenge teaches: time's cyclical nature, celestial patterns' reliability, human participation in the eternal dance between earth and sky. Lunar cycles add even more complex layers of meaning. Moon in its different phases, creating special alignments with specific stone groups, revealing the 18.6 years necessary for all possible lunar movements to complete. It's a stone astronomical computer, processing celestial information through sacred geometry crystallized in eternal megaliths. Dawn approaches with comforting gentleness, bringing with it that special quality of light that transforms the world into a delicate watercolor of pastel colors. You feel this long journey through Stonehenge's mysteries naturally coming to its end, like a river flowing tranquilly toward the sea of awakened consciousness. Final images flow through your mind with melancholic beauty, primitive builders gradually aging, their children assuming ancestral project responsibilities, generations succeeding in infinite continuity of shared purpose. Each generation adding its own contribution to the eternal monument, but always respecting the visionary creator's original vision. Branwen appears one last time in your imagination, now older, his hair completely gray, but eyes still shining with wisdom accumulated from decades observing skies. He stands at the center of the complete circle, finally finished after centuries of dedicated work. stones rising majestically around him like a natural cathedral of stone and sky. "You have seen," murmurs the ancestral druid, his voice carrying the weight of an entire life dedicated to cosmic mysteries, "how each stone carries within itself a story, not just of its geological journey through eras of rock formation, but of its human journey from distant quarries to this sacred place." Blue stones from Wales, altar stone from Scotland, enormous local sarsen stones, each represents an epic of human cooperation, impressive primitive logistics, and spiritual dedication transcending the merely practical. They are monuments not just to ancestral astronomy, but to human capacity for working together toward goals transcending individual lives. Joke number 7. Ancient Druids were history's first influencers. They convinced thousands of people to participate in prehistory's most ambitious construction project, all without social media. You contemplate one last time the extraordinary view of the complete circle. Giant trilithons, 2 vertical stones, crowned by 1 horizontal stone, creating perfect portals, framing specific horizon points where significant astronomical events occur. Its architecture functioning simultaneously as art, religion, science, and philosophy materialized in stone. Stonehenge's function as perpetual calendar becomes clear in its totality, not just marking solstices and equinoxes, but recording complex lunar cycles, predicting eclipses with impressive precision, and even incorporating corrections for small errors accumulated over centuries of observation. It's an extraordinary demonstration that human intelligence was always capable of sophisticated understanding. Regardless of available technological tools, future generations coming to Stonehenge will bring their own interpretations and spiritual needs. That Celts will find here connections with their ancestral deities. Romans will see parallels with their own astronomical temples. Medieval Christians will try incorporating the monument into their cosmologies, and modern archaeologists will continue unraveling ever deeper layers of meaning and function. But through all these changing interpretations, essence remains constant. Stonehenge is a place where human touch is infinite, where individual mortality connects to eternal cosmic rhythms, where need for meaning finds permanent material expression. It's an archetypal symbol of human spiritual journey, seeking understanding and connection. Dawn light grows gradually stronger, gently dissolving Neolithic world images like morning mist touched by first sunray. Branwen slowly walks away, waving a final farewell, his figure becoming increasingly transparent until completely dissolving in growing modern dawn luminosity. You remain for a few moments at the border between sleep and waking, holding precious memories of this extraordinary journey. There's something deeply comforting in understanding that the Tonian same skies those ancestral builders contemplated continue stretching above you at this moment, connecting all human generations in uninterrupted cosmic continuity. Consciousness returns gradually, gentle as aurora breaking over Salisbury's eternal plains. You awaken not with modern alarm's jolt, but with natural tranquility of one who completed a deep and meaningful spiritual journey. Your body is completely relaxed, mind serene, heart full, with vivid memories of a lost but not forgotten world. For a few precious moments, you remain motionless, allowing both realities, ancestral and modern, to coexist harmoniously in your consciousness. There's something magical in this transition, this gentle return from Neolithic time to present, carrying within yourself treasures of wisdom and understanding that will enrich all your future days. Branwen's lessons continue echoing clearly, that time isn't a straight line but a circle, that the same cosmic rhythms guiding those ancient peoples continue operating today. That human need for connection and meaning transcends all eras and cultures. Stonehenge isn't just a prehistoric monument, but an eternal symbol of human spiritual journey. You vividly remember the sensation of touching those ancient stones, feeling under your palms the subtle vibration of 5 millennia of history crystallized in sacred rock, each stone carrying not just its own geological journey of formation over eras, but also its epic human journey from distant quarries to the sacred circle where they continue fulfilling their ancestral function. Understanding that you're part of this same human continuity brings deep peace that will remain with you long beyond this awakening moment. The same skies those primitive builders contemplated with reverence and scientific curiosity stretch above your window at this exact moment, connecting past and present in eternal dance of light and darkness. Final, quirky tidbit. Recent research suggests that Stonehenge's sound may have been as important as its visual appearance. Stones were positioned to create specific acoustic effects, transforming the monument into a kind of giant musical instrument that resonates at frequencies, inducing altered states of consciousness. Gratitude flows naturally for having witnessed, even through guided imagination, that extraordinary world of tribal cooperation, astronomical wisdom, and spiritual dedication. A world where building something permanent was a form of materialized prayer, where observing stars was a sacred act of participation in cosmic mind, where working together transcended tribal differences in favor of goals benefiting all future generations. Stonehenge's real legacy isn't just in stones that continue standing, but in inspiration it continues offering 5,000 years later. Each person visiting the monument, each archaeologist carefully excavating around stones, each child learning about prehistory, each dreamer contemplating ancestral mysteries, all are part of the same spiritual continuity, connecting original builders to future generations yet unborn. Your breathing naturally deepens as you savor these final journey moments. Body completely relaxed against modern bed comfort, mind serene with ancestral wisdom, spirit renewed by connection to something much greater than individual existence. This is how the best stories end, not with ending, but with beginning, not with closure, but with opening to infinite possibilities. And on Salisbury's eternal plains, where wind continues whispering among sacred stones, where sun still rises precisely aligned on summer solstice, where moon still marks its complex cycles through megalithic alignments, the spirit of Branwen and all ancestral builders remains alive, whispering through millennia the same eternal message, that humans can touch infinity through works transcending individual lives, that cooperation can create impossible marvels, and that cosmic mysteries are always available to those who know how to observe and listen. Sleep well, dear listener. May your dreams be populated by whispering stones and starry skies, by ancestral wisdom and eternal peace. And always remember that, in time's infinite circle, you can return to Stonehenge whenever your heart needs to reconnect with eternal rhythms governing all living things in this extraordinary and mysterious universe we call home. Underscore this journey through Stonehenge's mysteries was created with love and reverence for ancestral builders whose names were forgotten, but whose legacy continues inspiring humanity through millennia. May their eternal stones continue whispering wisdom to future generations, connecting all of us in the infinite dance between earth and sky, time and eternity, mortal and divine.